Fellas, how in the hell are we doing here today? First off, I just want to say sorry, it's been a few days since our last upload. This game came out on Wednesday and I've pretty much been playing it non-stop. As you can probably already tell by now, today we will be reviewing the highly anticipated Walking Simulator 2 Heart of Chernobyl. Whoops, no wait, sorry, no, my bad. This game is actually called Stalker 2. I knew it was called Stalker 2. Now I struggled with this intro for quite some time. I wanted to keep things nice and cordial at first, but I don't know what else to say other than this game is hot garbage. And that actually hurts me to say because this was one of my most anticipated games of the year. None of my friends even knew this game existed, but I swear I'm not the only person who's been excited to check this bad boy out. For those of you who don't know, this game has been in development hell for the past, I don't know, century, and it's just now finally seeing the light of day. To understand this situation a little bit better, I need to explain a few things to you first. So Stalker 2 was developed by a company named GSC Game World, which is a dev team based out of Ukraine. This game was originally announced back in 2010 with a projected release date of 2012, but numerous internal setbacks and layoffs forced the game to essentially sit on ice for the past few years, until it was revived back in 2018. The 2018 announcement was mainly to regenerate hype for the game, but we wouldn't hear anything about it until 2021 at E3, when they finally announced a new projected release date of 2022. Finally, things were looking good for Stalker 2, but unfortunately, Russia decided to launch a full-scale war on Ukraine, where the dev team is based out of, which once again pushed the release date back. I mean, talk about unbeatable odds. This game has been thrown through an absolute gauntlet. I don't want to hear any excuses from any other dev team ever again, okay? GSC straight up had Vladimir Putin trying to keep Stalker 2 from hitting the public. Wait. This timeline might actually be completely wrong. This random anonymous Reddit user just informed me that this game originally started development all the way back in 2002, which would mean GSC has been working on this for a whopping 22 years. I mean, are we kidding? I tried to find another source for this info, but I can't, so I'm not sure how true this is, but the game certainly feels like it was made for O2, so I'll buy it. Okay, that's enough history class, folks. Let's just get into the real meat and taters of this thing. Or should I say, the real sausage and stale bread of this thing. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is described as a first-person survival horror game that released on Xbox and PC for $60. This game is also completely free with Xbox Game Pass, which is actually great. That's easily the best thing that Stalker 2 has going for it. Like, I think I would be genuinely depressed if I spent $60 on this, so I'm glad I got it for free. It's also worth noting that this game's download size is 142 gigabytes, which I honestly, I don't even have words for that right now. That is just insane. We'll talk about that later. I'm not going to get into any spoilers or anything, but long story short, you play as a stalker studying anomalies in an exclusion area called the Zone, when suddenly you're ambushed by an unknown group who knock you out and steal your equipment. Once you wake up, you're on a mission to find the people responsible and your stolen equipment to further pursue the anomaly mystery. Just to add context too real quick, the Zone is a post-apocalyptic wasteland that's bordered off from the rest of the world. Anomalies are strange paranormal and or radioactive energies that linger around the Zone and cause disturbances, and stalkers are a group of people who inhabit the Zone and scavenge for resources. The overall experience is extremely reminiscent of other first-person open world experiences like Fallout or Atomic Heart. You play as a character traversing a wide open world while collecting loot and completing random missions or side quests from NPC characters. For starters, the gameplay is slow, janky, and doesn't have a unique bone in its body. Everything in here you've seen a million different times before, and this is the worst it's ever been done. This game has no sort of flow to it whatsoever, and that's mainly because of your stamina bar that's constantly out. I swear, this was easily one of my biggest problems with the game. While I was taking notes for this review, I wrote down, the stamina is a problem. Like, it really had me cussing at myself in my notes section. It was that bad. You can't do literally anything for 5 seconds without running out of stamina and having it completely halt your play experience. I mean, you run 5 feet, then you're out. You jump twice, you're out. Swing your knife too many times, you're out. Are you thirsty? You're really out. This game wants you to move at a snail's pace at all times, and that's genuinely insane for a game that forces you to manually traverse everywhere too. Which brings me to my next point. This game has no sort of fast travel at all. It's just you in the open road the entire playthrough. Okay, I actually looked it up. You can fast travel between major settlements with guides, but come on now. Even that's whack. You're telling me I have to walk to a fast travel point, and then it's not even gonna be exactly where I wanted to go? I gotta walk there too? I mean, come on now, dog. The missions in this game aren't really anything special either. Most of the time, you're walking to somebody to receive a mission, then they're gonna send you somewhere else 500 meters away just to grab something for 15 seconds and then walk it all the way back. So you have zero stamina at all times, and the game wants you to spend 90% of your playthrough just walking back and forth around the world. The moment I saw a mission that was a whole 1 kilometer away for the first time, I just had to turn the game off. I mean, there was no way I was about to make that hike. As if the game wasn't slow enough, there's also periodic radiation storms that roll in and completely restrict the entire outside of the map for a brief period of time. So even if you're in the middle of doing something for a mission, you have to stop, find shelter, and sit there until the storm passes or you're just gonna die. Besides just the game's overall pace though, the gunplay also feels extremely boring and dated. There's no sort of unique aspects that change up the combat, you just have a gun, you shoot it, and people go dead. But they even somehow made that feel boring. I mean, damn, can I at least get a hit marker or something to pop up every now and then to let me know I'm actually doing stuff? Most of these guns are just straight up pea shooters too. I mean, you're spending half the game just trying to scrounge for resources and ammo, and then you spend all your ammo in 5 seconds trying to take out one person. The guns are all realistic, and they actually have an quote-unquote upgrade feature, but it's literally just a Call of Duty create class. All you get to do is add attachments to the weapons. Speaking of upgrades, besides their like gun attachments, there's no sort of leveling up or upgrading anything at all. So the entire time, I never felt like I was actually like working towards anything or progressing anything. I just felt the exact same. They really could have killed 2 birds with 1 stone by allowing you to at least like upgrade your character attributes, because then we'd get the feeling of working towards something and I'd be able to run farther. I mean, I would have really liked that. Another big aspect of this game is the looting and loot management, and I thought this was alright but could have been better. This feature is actually done pretty well and rather in-depth, but it just feels like there's too much to keep up with, and this further slows down the gameplay. Throughout the game, you constantly have to scavenge for food, ammo, quest items, and weapons. It's not really a problem actually coming across this stuff besides maybe the ammo, but the main problem of this is the inventory management. This game locks you at a set carry weight that can be maxed out rather quick, so eventually you have to start just leaving stuff behind that you want to keep. I will say there is a few like small artifacts you can pick up that kinda increase your carry weight, but not by a whole lot. And in most of the upgrade screens, there's an option to reduce weight on weapons or equipment, but it's just such a hassle to go through all of that. And it takes so much time too. So half the time you are just gonna have to leave stuff behind. I mainly notice this a lot with weapons. In a game like this that's throwing a ton of different weapons at me, I wanted to try and keep one of each so I can use them all, but I quickly realized that I would not be able to. You're only able to hold on to about 4 or so different weapons while still maintaining enough space for other stuff, and that honestly just sucks. It feels like I'm being limited in what I can use. Obviously, I can just swap a gun out for a different one, but I don't want to do that, you know? I want all the shotguns, I want one of each SMG, I want all the ARs. Like, why can't I have them all? I know I just said the looting was done well, then spent however long complaining about the looting, but I meant like the actual process of looting is pretty good. I like how they had their inventory screens and everything laid out, but that's probably the only semi-nice thing we'll have to say about that entire subject. Everything else with the amount of stuff you have to keep up with and the amount of stuff you're actually able to carry was just a problem. Alright, switching on over to the visuals. This game looks terrible. Unless you're inside of a building, everything all just kinda looks the same and it blends together. It's not as bad if you're standing still, but if you're moving the camera around at all or walking towards anything, everything just kinda has a hazy look to it. The haze is also further enhanced anytime you're near anything radioactive, because you'll start to see this thick white film grain that builds up in the corners of the screen. It all just looks extremely messy. Even if you're inside a building, things aren't as blurry, but everything just looks old as hell. The graphics for this game really make you feel like you're playing something that was built for the PlayStation 2. Another thing I genuinely hated about the visuals were the day and night cycles for the game. I don't think there's any sort of way to actually skip the nighttime cycle. Maybe I'm stupid and missed that there were beds in this game. I don't know. But having to play in the literal pitch black with a headlamp half the time was just downright criminal. I never thought I would actually miss the haze of daytime, but playing in the dark is easily the worst. You really cannot see anything at all besides like a small circle of light on your monitor. I mean, it is just terrible. Everything at night is terrible. Besides the literal entire world looking like honey bucket stew though, the characters also look terrible. I will admit, some of the cutscenes they had weren't the worst thing I had ever seen. They'll get a pass. But any other time you see a character or one of the monster creatures, they all look gross. Especially if you're looking at one of the NPCs in this little character dialogue menu, I mean, they're all completely expressionless. They all damn near look identical with the same dead stare face. And all the facial textures and features just don't look good either. As far as the audio goes, this is probably the only category I can't really complain about too much. There's nothing great or fantastic about the audio, but it also wasn't bad, which made it a highlight. It's all honestly just really standard stuff. All the characters have voice actors, all the monsters scream, and guns go boom, you know? I mean, they would had to have really tried to screw this up, but it's all pretty standard and works fine. Something I will say though is that they have voice actors for a few different languages, and English actually isn't this game's first language. So there was a few times I could notice the words not lining up with the characters' mouth movements. And also all the NPC characters take these like really weird long pauses in between them like talking. But compared to everything else the game had going on, it wasn't a big deal. Moving on to bugs and issues, I honestly should have talked about this way sooner, but we kind of have a system going on here with our reviews, you know? It just had to wait its turn. Finally though, I am here to report that this game runs like hot, smelly garbage on a warm summer's day. Just based off of performance alone, this might have been the single worst playing experience I've had this entire year. When I first hopped on, the game was damn near unplayable, so I had to change around a bunch of graphics settings, but even after that, I could never really get it to run great or even good. I will say I played this on PC, so I'm not exactly sure how the console experience is, but for me, it was terrible. And it also made everything else that we've already talked about in this video a million times worse. I mean, as if the gunplay and stamina weren't enough, you have to fight against this game looking like it's damn near about to crash, but not crashing. Actually, I guess if there's any plus I could give, I will say that no matter how bad things got on the screen, it never crashed on me, so that counts for something, I guess. In conclusion, Your Honor, Stalker 2 is not a certified hood classic. I cannot believe I spent hours of my life that I will never get back playing this pile of garbage. Please, GSC Game World, refund me those hours of my life, please. I genuinely do not know what to say, fellas. I mean, I am head and hands disappointed in the product we received. 2024 was on such an insane streak of just banger after banger after banger. And then here comes Stalker 2 stinking up the place, tarnishing this incredible year for gaming. The one thing that was constantly in the back of my mind while playing Stalker 2 was, this is like Fallout, but less fun. And that's really the best description I can give for this game. I'm someone who's a big fan of the Fallout series, and it's like they took everything cool and interesting about those games and just completely threw it in the trash. No cool weapons or unique enemies, no character progression or upgrades, no RP, nothing. Like I said at the beginning, this game originally started development back in 2010, and it really shows. This actually feels like a game straight from the early 2000s with no changes at all. If this game actually dropped way back then, it probably would have banged at the time too, but at this point, it's just embarrassingly old. I also really don't understand how this game is like 140 gigabytes or something either. I mean, where in the hell is all that data? What is all that space being used for? I've seen so many games with so much more for less. It's baffling that they made me reserve this much space for this. I also just want to say real quick too that as a survival horror game, this game isn't scary at all. Their idea of horror is having this one monster enemy that's like half invisible, half not, jumping at you. That's a complete bullet sponge. He pops up randomly throughout the story. It's super annoying. Not that scary though. If I had to wrap this all up into a rating day 1 to 10, I think I'm going to hit it with a strong 2 out of 10, and that's actually being incredibly generous. I don't really like dunking on games that hard because even if it's not great, I know there's someone out there that spent a great deal of time working on it, and I personally would feel destroyed just hearing people drag my work through the mud. But I am here to tell you about how my experience went and what I think about things. So if something sucked or I wasn't a fan, I have to call it out. But just because I feel that way doesn't mean you or someone else will have that same experience. And while it's not the best working product, it is a complete product that somebody spent a great deal of time working on, so that's gotta count for something. But with that being said, I think that's gonna about do it here for the review, folks. Again, sorry I haven't posted in a bit. I was busy with this game, and I just wasn't having a good time at all. I couldn't think of any sort of extra content to make, so I didn't. For those of you who don't know, we're mainly just waiting on Marvel Rivals because that game was really fun, and we're going to be playing a lot of that for a while, so we'll have a bunch of videos to make on that. Also, I've got a pretty big announcement that's brewing in the pipeline right now, but it's just not quite ready yet. It's going to be a pretty big event here on the channel that I'm excited about, and once I'm ready to tell you guys about it, I'll let you know. But for right now, we'll leave it at that. Alright fellas, I'm done rambling here. If you have also played Stalker 2, comment down below and let me know what you thought of the game. I would love to hear about it. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. I make game reviews all the time. Appreciate your time, folks. Take it easy. This has been Lunar, and welcome to Bound.